In my opinion, it appears that a volcanic eruption quite recently occurred in a first world country and yet went completely unnoticed. And that's despite the fact it occurred fairly close to a populated area. I am not referring to an absurdly remote location such as Alaska's Aleutian Islands, but rather on the southern portion of Japan's island of Kyushu, population 13 million. There, 17 kilometers southwest of the city of Kobayashi, something unusual occurred on the southern flanks of the Kirishima Volcano in late 2025, possibly even extending into 2026. Photos on social media were posted displaying what looked to be a coating of ash that locals had not noted were there beforehand, but it was confined to a narrow region alongside a series of vigorously degassing fumaroles. Upon further investigation, a fresh layer of fine particulates was deposited throughout this 80,000 square meter region containing geothermal vents, and it appears that this did not occur in a single brief event. Instead, the particulate field expanded in bursts, occurring via at least 3 distinct events which deposited fine gray particles, specifically on or around November 20th, November 28th, and December 7th of 2025. All 3 areas with the thickest deposits of fine particles marking their likely source were already known geothermal vents which contain fumaroles and/or hot springs. Taking all of this into account, in my opinion, it honestly appears as though some form of volcanic eruption occurred here in at least 3 distinct stages. Specifically, multiple small phreatic volcanic eruptions where the heat from at-depth magma rises, causing groundwater to flash to steam. Since steam takes up about 1,600 times the volume of the water it once was, it causes an immense amount of pressure to build. This pressure can then reach such a point that it's able to break through overlying rock, exploding upwards in a volcanic eruption that does not eject any lava. If what I just stated is the accurate interpretation of what occurred here, it wouldn't be the first such instance of one of the geothermal areas of the Kirishima volcano producing an unexpected phreatic eruption. For instance, while it is tough to pin down in documents where exactly this example occurred, it appears that on August 5, 1971, a phreatic eruption occurred at a geothermal site about 2,400 meters to the northwest. In fact, the deposits left behind by that 1971 eruption and the recently described events are incredibly similar to the descriptions of magnitude VEA1 phreatic eruptions worldwide, with similar eruptions occurring at Morne Wat in 1997, Su'o in 2024, and at the Dieng volcano also in 2024. However, there are at least 2 other still plausible explanations that suggest what occurred in late November and early December was not a phreatic eruption. The first of these suggests that what occurred in the specified geothermal area was instead a series of hydrothermal explosions. Hydrothermal explosions are not volcanic eruptions and can even sometimes occur in regions where no active volcanoes exist. They also eject clay-rich particulates that might look like volcanic ash, but then again, because an actual phreatic eruption would also eject fine particles of rock above and around any explosion, this isn't a very useful identifier. Regardless, hydrothermal explosions can occur due to a drop in pressure at a boiling or near boiling point geothermal field, which, since fumaroles are present in this field, it technically remains plausible here. This often occurs due to a buildup of sinter or a plug forming above a vent, sometimes resulting in eventual explosion. The narrow distribution of observed clay particles in Japan's recent event does seem quite similar in appearance to the aftermath of other small to medium-sized historical hydrothermal explosions worldwide. The third explanation was stated as a possibility by a local geologist. That geologist suspected that a notable rise in pressure at one or more fumaroles caused the gas to, in essence, scrape the side of the fumarole conduit walls. Since this mostly occurred through clay, many fine particles were created and then put slightly airborne, drifting at low levels to be deposited on nearby ground and vegetation. Whichever of these is what really happened is unknown, but I thought my audience would appreciate learning about this minor geologic mystery. And it gets even weirder because there was seemingly no changes at the Fumaroles site since 2026 began, and yet a local reported some form of highly localized particulate fall on January 9, 2026. As a final note, I would like to thank this channel's patrons on Patreon and channel members on YouTube for supporting my work.